Can anyone write a publishable book? No, I don't think so, sorry. But can you? Maybe. Today, I'm going to share the truth about how to get past writing as just a hobby and make a career of it as a published author. We're going to take an honest look at what it takes. Let's go. Every few years, someone reaches out to me or comes up to me at a party and tells me they have a book idea. And they ask me what I think of it. And I say, sounds interesting, because it usually does. And then they say, the problem is, I just don't have time to write it. Do you want to collaborate? And I give you the idea and you write the book? When I tell this story to actual writers, they always laugh. Because writers get that writing isn't the idea. That's the easy part. The hard part is writing the book. Writing a publishable book, I think, comes down to three things. And today I'm going to walk you through those three things. All right, the first thing is want. You have to want to write a book pretty badly because it's going to take you a while. Now, this may seem kind of obvious, but as a writer for many years, and more recently as a writing coach, I've met many people who say they want to write a book, but I can sense that they don't quite want it enough. They want to write a book in the same way that I want to learn French. Enough that every 6 months I spend $14 on a language app subscription that I use for 2 nights in a row and then abandon. If I really wanted to learn French, I would learn it. I would make it a priority. And if you really want to write a book, you know it. I'm not saying if you haven't made time to write your book, you don't really want it. There are definitely things I really want, but haven't done yet. Like, I really want to see the Northern Lights. I also would really like to do a yoga teacher training. I haven't done these yet, but I know that if I want them badly enough, when it's time, I'll make them happen. I'll find a way to get us to Iceland at the right time of year. I will sign up for the yoga teacher training and show up for it. How badly do you want to write a book? Because here's what it's actually likely to require of you. First, years of your life working on it. Now, I don't mean every single day for years, but in fits and starts, you're gonna be working on this thing for years. The publication process is long. It's typically 2 years between when you get a book deal and when your book hits shelves. And that's after your book is done. Okay, next, at least 3 hours a week for periods of a few months at a time when you're actively working on your draft. I'll talk more about what an actual timeline might look like in a moment. And finally, it's going to require that you work through your inner demons, like, am I worthy of this? Am I smart enough? Am I creative enough? We all have to deal with this kind of resistance that bubbles up once we take on the goal of writing a book. If hearing these things makes you maybe cringe a little bit, but still think, okay, but I still want to do it, then congrats, you have the want. And so I believe in you. All right, so then the second thing you're going to need is perseverance. You got to be able to persevere. I don't mean to sound condescending here. I know that you need to persevere, but we're going through criteria for being able to write a publishable book, and this is definitely one of them. Unless you're in the 0.00001% of writers, writing your first novel is going to take you longer than you want it to. That's just been the case for every writer I know. And this is why you need to like writing, because if you don't enjoy the process, it's hard to keep doing it. In the fastest case, meaning as fast as I've ever known someone to write a book that was published, your timeline might look something like this. First 3 months, write your first draft. 4th month, let your book sit. 5th month, revise your draft. 6th and 7th month, query literary agents. 8 to 10 months, work on your draft with a literary agent. 11 months, sell your book. Months 12 through 20, work on your draft with your editor as your publishing house gets your book ready for publication. And then months 21 to 24, wait nervously for your book to come out and start promoting your book. Like I said, this is the fastest case scenario I can imagine, and it's still a 2-year process. For most of us, it's much slower than that. The entire process I listed above was, for me, 6 years for my first novel and 4 years for my second. And for my second, I already had a literary agent and an editor. If you're cringing again, that's okay, because if you're cringing, but you still want to write your book, you have the burn. Now, I have one more criterion I want to share with you. But before I do, I want to say that if you have the burn, you want to write a book, I want to hear from you. You can find me at the links below this video. I am here to help authors write their dream books. So let's write yours together this year. Now, back to the video. The third thing you need to have is skill. If you want to write a book, you need to know how to write a good sentence, and you need to know how to put sentences together well so that the rhythm of your writing is readable. In other words, it doesn't feel like the reading equivalent of an automatic weapon, or cause the reader to have to do so much work to understand what you're saying that by the 5th paragraph, they're exhausted. But here's the thing. I don't want you to mistake knowing how to write a good sentence and how to string sentences together for being educated. I have worked with people who don't have a high school diploma, who are stunning writers. I've worked with more lawyers and PhDs than I can count, who have to unlearn grammatical rules that are crippling their fiction, like feeling like they need to use whom all the time and stifling rules about infinitives. So if you don't have an MFA in creative writing, or you don't have a college degree, trust me, it doesn't matter. But you still need to learn how to write readable prose. The best way to learn to write well is to read and then emulate the writers who you love. Write what you love to read. The second best way to learn is to read and internalize this tiny book, The Elements of Style. It's a classic, it's digestible, and it will take you under a day to read. Everything else you can learn pretty quickly, actually. I teach it in my program, the Book Incubator, which you can apply for below this video. I created my program because I discovered a writing process that works for authors working on novels and memoirs. You don't need to make yourself miserable. You don't need to get feedback on every page for it to be good. And you certainly don't need to write every day. But you do need to know where you're going and why you're writing. You need to have a purpose, and I can help you figure out what that purpose is. Writing a book is like any other long-term ambitious goal. The mere effort of pursuing it will change you. It's the best growth experience I've ever had, and one of my favorite parts of being alive. So if you have the 3 things I've talked about here, or at least the first 2, and you're willing to work on the 3rd, you have it in you to write a book. So if you're ready, I hope you will join us. We would love to welcome you in our community. Just click below and tell me a couple of things about yourself. I look forward to hearing from you.